Dustin,
Hamid,
we're doing it again.
we're back.
What is this? It's kind of hard to believe, actually. It's episode 5, right?
Yeah, we've been doing this for like a month.
Yeah. It feels very like I don't know. I'm digging it. I'm liking it.
Me
Um,
too.
yeah. All right. What do we have to talk about today?
We have a lot to talk about today. We have the earnings this week. We have the Google verdict. We have the Tesla master plan. The new
Ooh.
iPhones are going to be released soon. Where would you like to start?
Oh, wait. You got to tell me, what does this wake me up before
Oh,
when September
wake
ends?
me up when September ends. So this is a Green Day song.
Okay.
Which have you heard of the Green Day song before?
Probably, but like I mean, they're a popular band, obviously, so I must have heard
It's a
it. But
it's a
why,
great
why is that
song.
your title right now, Dustin?
Well, September just started, so I thought it'd be funny. But the in if we're going to relate it to the market specifically, my
Okay.
portfolio and crypto, historically, September is one of the worst months for Bitcoin.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, on
Okay.
average, Bitcoin goes down in September's, and it always goes down in the post halving year for Bitcoin, which we are currently
Okay.
in. That doesn't mean it's going to go down this year in September, but it's just the
Yeah.
seasonality of it. So
You're like bracing yourself so that
bracing for impact. Wake me up when
okay.
September ends. I don't want
All
to
right.
look.
Okay, you're gonna be surprised about something. You mentioned Tesla plan. What is it?
Yeah,
Master
the
plan
master
part
plan
4.
4. Yeah.
Um, I have a little bit of an announcement. Right before this call, guess what I did? I
What'd you do?
canceled my Roadster 2 order. So
Wow.
yeah, 8 years I've been waiting for that car, and I finally lost hope that it's going to be delivered. Or if it is, I lost hope that there would be huge demand for it, that I would need to wait in line for too long, maybe a few months or whatever, if I really love it and still want to get it. But I've lost hope that it's going to be delivered anytime in the next couple of years. I've lost hope that it would have the specs that originally were given. Elon seems so freaking distracted with the shiny new thing, like nonstop, going from one thing to the next, and ever increasing promises. So, um, yeah, this is probably the least amount of, I don't know, confidence or um, whatever like of Tesla that I've ever had.
Right.
It's kind of interesting, and it's all because of like just the lackluster delivery over the past several years, and like the whole master plan part 4 just totally rubbed me the wrong way. They're sort of talking about what is it, unlimited abundance or whatever. What did they call it?
Uh,
The wording that they used.
yeah,
Um,
it's limitless abundance. Maybe. And no,
uh,
not that.
No,
Something abundant.
sustainable
Sustainable
abundance.
abundance. Yeah.
And beyond cars, right? Like it's totally focused on Optimus humanoid robots, uh, yeah, and AI and robotics. So he's like completely changed the company, but without delivering anything. It's like the classic example of what not to do is overpromise and under deliver. And he's just, the promises just continue to get ever more expanding, and the delivery of on those promises just continue to sort of fall short. You know, the Cybertruck is the most amazing car, but when you were promised a 500-mile range, 500 plus mile range, and $40,000 starting point, and then you got double that on the starting point, $80,000 starting point, and 300-mile range, it's just like a disconnect, right? Um,
Yeah.
Tesla Semi, same thing. You know, it was announced 8 years ago, along with the Roadster 2. Neither vehicle have been delivered. There's been zero updates on the Roadster 2. He just talks about it being able to fly with SpaceX rockets. I mean, come on, just we don't need more promises and like ever expanding promises, but we need some delivery. And
How much
I
was the
finally
deposit that you had to put down for that?
$50,000. So I've had a $50,000 deposit for 8 years, which I just started the process of requesting a refund on
But
that
it's really
deposit.
worse than that because if your annualized return is 67%, right,
Yeah.
you lost
It-
a chunk of change.
yeah. No, I mean, like even if you just think about putting it in the bank, right? Like
Yeah.
half of those
Right,
years
high interest
interest rates
rates.
were like insignificant, but half of them were like 4 or 5%. So anyway, you slice it, it's bad. Not to mention, 8 years is a long time to wait for vaporware. Like just it hasn't, and it's not like it's getting delivered right now. There's like
Right.
zero talk about it as to when it might be delivered someday, or what the specs will be, or what the price will be, because they kind of stopped talking about everything, right? Like he stopped talking about all of it. So
Yeah.
I have zero confidence that even the price will be the same as originally announced too. So yeah, it's so disappointing. I think Elon has completely lost, uh, like the optics, or what is it? What Tesla was all about, and what he was all about is
Yeah, the
like
mission.
delivering the impossible, and their mission too, and delivering the impossible. Making it possible. Now he's sort of chasing other leaders in robotics and AI and whatever else, sex
Do
bots.
you
it's
think
just it's
that
just
should
comical.
be in a separate company? Like, well, I guess they have XAI. Do you think XAI should be the one building Optimus and Tesla should be solely focused on cars, or would that not matter because
I
Elon's focus is
I
going to
don't
be
think
split anyway?
Tesla should be solely focused on cars, but like I think not losing focus on the fact that you've been promising for 8 years that you're about to deliver, and taking deposits, by the way, for the semi truck as well, and
Right.
for the like for the Roadster. You've been saying you're going to have a lower priced vehicle coming like nonstop for the past 4 years. That has never materialized. uh, just the number of promises just keep expanding, and then like now it's just completely moved and shifted the entire company to AI and robotics. And it's like, okay, so does that mean the vehicles are out? Like there's no more focus on delivering those things, and it's unknown. Most likely the answer to that is no, but the fact that it's going to go a lot slower because he's not focused on it, just for how long is it reasonable to wait for a product you put a $50,000 deposit for? So, yeah, I'm done.
So if you're not getting the Roadster, what car is filling that void?
Oh, so 2 years ago, I bought a McLaren and loved it. And then about 1 year ago, I upgraded to less than a year ago, it's a 2025. I upgraded to a Arturo, which is like a hybrid version of the
Okay.
McLaren, and it's a freaking fantastic car. It's electronics and software sucks, but
I'm sure.
but like it's just a beautiful car. It drives really fun. It's really nice. So it's doing the job. Like I figured it would be a temporary car for me until the Roadster 2 got delivered, but then like
Mhm.
it just seems like, all right, now I'll just take the deposit back, and then if the Roadster 2 is that great and I love it, I can always buy it later.
Right.
So
Does
um,
the McLaren have CarPlay or no?
it does, yeah. Apple CarPlay,
Well, that
yeah,
that's good at least.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but
But
yeah, going back to the master plan, I saw online a lot of people didn't love that they didn't provide any sort of timelines. It was very like visionary,
right.
and I actually thought for because it's Tesla, I thought it was a good thing that they didn't provide the timelines because they're not going to hit them anyway. You know,
They
like
hadn't previously provided timelines either, but the master plan this time around seemed like it was written by ChatGPT or maybe Grok.
Grok. Yeah,
Whereas
definitely not ChatGPT.
whereas like the last times it was like short and sweet, and it looked like it was written by Elon at 3 o'clock in the morning. And like it in previous master plans, it felt much more authentic and in line with what Tesla was all about.
Right.
This one I think kind of misses the mark a little bit. So I'm
What do you
curious as
think?
to
What
what
do you think the
others.
catalyst was to do this, to release this master plan?
Yeah, I don't know. Like in the past, he's sort of been sort of late on the switching up or updating the master plan. So usually the company has already started delivering something in that respect. But the last one, if I'm not mistaken, was very much focused on batteries and reusable energy, solar,
Mhm.
grid level energy, and basically none of that has been delivered, and he's just like moved on. So moving Earth to sustainable energy no longer seems to be a priority. And that's kind of like a sad thing from my perspective on Tesla. But yeah.
Okay. What do you want to hit on next? Do you want to go to earnings or do you want to talk about the iPhone 17?
We can talk about, well, let's see. Are any of the earnings out
Yeah, some
yet?
are out. We
What do
have
we have?
Salesforce is out, GitLab is out,
Oh,
Figma's out.
American Eagle, I'm representing, is out. They are showing 125% beat on EPS and a 4% beat on revenue. Stock is up pretty significantly after hours. Holy macro! It's at 15. What is that? 1572. Why are we
Yeah.
not showing
If
the?
can you refresh the page? Yeah, maybe
Okay,
it'll show up then.
let's see here.
There we
Oh,
go.
there we go. It's up
18%.
18% after hours. Okay, so this is a good thing. The timing was good on that one. I'm super curious as to what they say on their earnings call, but I'm going to be listening to that, and hopefully I'll have some updates next week about it. But this is a really, really good sign.
And
You know,
so can you show the
the
results?
earnings, yeah,
Yeah.
earnings results. So it looks like the top line revenue only beat by 4%. I think a lot of people were afraid that that was going to miss, but uh, their EPS though 45 cents versus 20 cents expected. So that's a huge beat, 125% beat.
Yeah. I think part of it is there was a large cohort that was fairly negative on the Sydney Sweeney advertising.
Right,
And I think people were looking at it through a lens of this company is not doing well or this is not working.
right,
And,
right.
the jeans were selling out. So, which anyone could go online and see that. So,
Yeah, this is a good slide deck too. Um, yeah, I'll have to study that a little later. But let's see what else. What else do we have, or who else do we have? Um,
uh, we have Salesforce, we have GitLab, we have Figma.
wow, GitLab had a huge beat as well. 300% on EPS, 4% on top line revenue. What are they doing after
And they're
hours?
down almost 9%.
Wow, that's interesting. I wonder why.
Well, I think it goes back to the beautiful earnings chart that they have
Yeah,
of I think it's the growth is slowing down
yeah, that would make
potentially.
sense. Yeah.
Um,
Who else do we have?
what are your thoughts on GitLab? Because you have a lot of background in Git.
So I like GitLab as a company, and I knew the founder who was the CEO, but he actually stepped down, I think, for health reasons, not long ago, within the past year. And the company is a fantastic company; they're executing really well, but it was always very overpriced. Like it was uh, I don't know, it was operating at a very expensive price point. So, if that revenue growth rate slows down, I could see why the price chart for GitLab is not that great anymore. What is
Right.
their 5-year history? They went public in what, 2021, it looks like. Came out at $110 a share, and you can buy them currently at $46 a share. So like basically they've been stagnant despite the fact that they've had great earnings growth, right? Um, this is exactly what happens with companies that get the stock price goes ahead of the curve. So
Hmm.
I prefer companies as they're growing for the stock price to represent their growth rather than getting way ahead. Because when you get way ahead, you could have sort of stagnant stock price despite doing great as a company, which is what they're doing.
Right. One advantage that I like about GitLab that's somewhat newer, but a few years old at this point, is Microsoft bought their biggest competitor, GitHub.
GitHub,
And I
yes.
think that I'm speculating that it's driving more interest in GitLab for companies that don't want to use a Microsoft service or potentially have Microsoft have access to their entire code base.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. In fact, after that happened, because obviously being in the Git industry for a long time, when that happened, GitLab just skyrocketed in valuation, and within a year, it passed the price that Microsoft paid for GitHub on the private markets. GitLab wasn't public at the time. Within a year or two, like the valuation skyrocketed past GitHub's, despite having like a fraction of the revenues. Today, it has about double the revenues of where Microsoft bought GitHub for.
Mm.
Uh, but I think its revenue run rate is around 800 million versus GitHub back then was around 400 million and got bought for just under 8 billion by Microsoft. So, it's been growing as at a very overpriced valuation, but now it's sort of catching up to them.
Right.
Um, all right, what else do we have? We have Lulu reporting tomorrow. That's a
Lulu.
great company, by the way. Like Lulu has been one of those companies where has been sort of knocking it out of the park over the past like what decade or longer.
Yeah, their
Uh,
products
their
are great.
their products have been great, but again, the price had gotten probably ahead of where their performance was, and over the past 5 years, they're sort of like cheaper today than they were 5 years ago. So,
Yeah, they're not
um,
exactly the same, but they remind me of Abercrombie's stock story, where it's a stock that is an A in earnings hub score,
right,
and ran up pretty high, and the price is kind of coming down. And I think investors are a little spooked,
right,
and maybe they shouldn't
but
be.
But sometimes, like the best time to buy it is like, their numbers are the best that they have ever been. Like
Hmm.
13.6 price earnings ratio with a 9% growth rate for even for a retail company. And I know last week we were looking at all the different retail companies. The price earnings ratio and price sales ratio, all that is not that bad, especially considering their growth rate for both revenue growth of 9%, EPS growth of 13%. Those numbers are not bad at all. So, and it's cheaper than it has been for like since 2020, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Um, all right, who else do we have? CRM, Salesforce reported as well. A 15% beat on EPS, a 1% beat on revenue, 10.24 billion of revenue, $2.91 EPS was their stock doing. They're also
Down
down.
3.2%.
Yeah.
Have you used Salesforce in the past?
Briefly, just it's such a like beast of a product.
Yes.
It always felt over uh, like too big of a product for our needs. You know,
Right.
trying to do too many things, automate too many things at the same time. So not we weren't a huge fan at Get Kraken. Um, all right, moving on off of earnings. What were the other topics? Apple iPhone 17.
Yeah, let's talk iPhone 17.
What
So
are you
I
What are your thoughts about that? Actually, like, so Apple is about to have this event where they're introducing
Mhm.
the iPhone 17 next week, and what are you hoping that they? Well, you don't. You actually on Android, aren't you? So, like, you
Well, I
probably
could still
don't
have
really
hopes,
care.
Hamid. Well, of
All right.
course I care because I want to buy. I'm not like a blind Android loyalist. Like I want to
Okay.
buy the best phone. So if
Okay.
Apple were to release the best phone, and I'm not saying, and the iPhone's obviously great, and best is subjective, but if
Right.
iPhone were to release a certain caliber of phone, I would switch from Android to iPhone.
Okay.
Um, it's interesting because at this point, I'm not saying the hardware is perfect, but
Yes.
their hardware is fantastic, and I
Yes.
don't think there's much that they need to update there.
A
Um,
hundred percent.
Maybe outside, the only thing I could think of is the dynamic island, which I like the dynamic island, but it would be nice to have just a full screen because they do have cameras that can go underneath the screen now.
Oh,
So I
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, and that technology is a few years old. I wouldn't be surprised if Apple were to introduce that, not for the iPhone 17, but a couple years down the road. Um, what I'm
But
looking for, Yeah.
Okay. No. I was just going to comment that totally agree. Like if you have an iPhone 13, 14, 15, 16, you're not thinking, God, I wish I had a faster phone, or
Oh yeah. No,
you're
they're
not
so
complaining about
well
the
built.
hardware. Maybe the
Yeah,
battery. That would be the only thing that you might be complaining
well,
about.
yeah. I mean, so battery technology is the oldest technology in these phones.
Right.
It's the tech that has not been updated, and it's not because they haven't tried. It's just
Right.
extremely the chemistry is just very difficult. But there is a lot of hope in regards to like finding different, like I think they're called anodes,
Right.
that'll make the batteries have more power,
But
or
I
they can
have
hold more
zero
power and
confidence that
safer.
17 is going to like be that, where it gives you like, double the battery life all of a
Yeah,
sudden. If
no,
they did that, that would be sort of an interesting hardware improvement, but no one's asking for better hardware,
right.
right?
And Apple's not incentivized to do it because that's the number one reason why people upgrade their phones is their battery dies, right?
That's true.
So like until the competition really like is killing them on it, which isn't going to happen
Right.
for a while, there's no world Apple's going to be first mover on that.
Right. And I
Um,
feel like Google also missed it on the Pixel 10, right? Like they just made a faster, faster phone with better cameras. That's like
right.
basically the summary of every single phone update that has existed for the past 10 upgrades or whatever. Um,
Totally.
it's faster phone, better camera. And it's like, okay, if that's the summary, why do I need an iPhone 17?
Right.
But
Yeah. The difference I would say with Google is I don't think the design of their phone is as nice as the iPhone. It's close, but like I think Google could do more design improvements. Where Apple, I mean, I don't love the three camera look. Like I think they could do something better, but regardless, it's a great looking phone. But
right,
what they need to focus on, we could all see this coming from a mile away, is AI
yeah.
integration within the phone. And I haven't heard any rumors about any strong AI integrations for the iPhone 17, at least on release. And if they're not ready for it on release, they're not going to say anything about it because they don't want to
Mm.
promise something and then not deliver again.
Well, they did that a year ago,
Well, they
right?
did, right, and I think they learned their lesson because it was a huge embarrassment. They had to change a bunch of marketing material because they made
Yeah,
advertisements showing features that
never
never that
existed.
were never released and are still not released today.
Yeah.
Um,
I would
so
hope they would not do that again, but
I don't
yeah.
think they will. I think it's better for them to not say anything about AI than to say that their AI is coming and then it doesn't.
Okay.
And if they're genuinely close to releasing some strong AI features, then they should have delayed the iPhone release so it
Mm,
could be released
okay.
with the iPhone 17.
I mean, they could surprise on the upside and actually have a bunch of AI features that gets released at the same time.
Absolutely.
Doubt it.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think the odds of that are low.
Right, right. Me too. I mean, I think this is going to be a very disappointing event for Apple fans. Yeah,
Yeah.
just
And
faster hardware.
the
Hardware is not
most
the problem anymore.
the most recent rumors I heard about anything AI related from Apple is that they're talking with Google to get Gemini on their phones. Not
Yes.
saying that's going to happen, but that they're potentially working on a deal, right?
Speaking
Um,
speaking of Google, they just
Speaking of
had
Google,
the
yeah,
antitrust law basically got or a case that was against them by the Department of Justice, who was seeking basically to see if they could split up Google in a bunch of different pieces, sell off the parts or whatever, so that there could be more competition. Just completely lost essentially that case, and Google can continue to do basically whatever it wants, which is we went through all of this process in the '90s with Microsoft and it's basically disruptive technologies that come about that has to disrupt these companies, not government involvement that breaks them up. So yeah, Google's stock price shot up today 9% as a result of the verdict there, which is ironic because during the case about what was it 4 or 5 months ago when I ended
yeah,
up starting my position in Google, one of the things that caused the stock price to dropped by 10% to like I think the 150s or 140s or something like that was a line that one of the Apple executives said about how they might
I
not
think it was
or
Phil
they were
Schiller.
looking Phil Schiller and he had said that they were looking to um, n- uh, They were looking at what was it like, putting AI for default search in
Yeah.
Safari, and it might not be
And
Google.
the silly
So
thing with that is his intention in that meeting was to push the government to do what they did today,
yes,
which is
exactly.
don't get involved. We have a good thing going with Google.
Right.
And people, I think, read too much into his comments.
100%. And it caused the stock price to go down. And as
Yeah.
a result of his testimony, probably because they sort of like, I think the judge actually referenced the fact that Google has competition from LLMs and ChatGPT and all that. So because of that, the verdict came favorable towards Google, and the stock price reversed almost the exact same amount today. But in between, Google has been also going up. So I think it's like up 30, 40% since that decline there.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Google is in an extremely strong position. Uh,
I mean, they're an absolute monster. But the key thing is they're really not a monopoly in any of the industries they're in. Like if you look at
yeah,
Android, there's iPhone. If you look at Chrome, there's Safari. If you
right.
look at search, that's the one that's
Now,
questionable. But now you have all these LLMs coming, and
yep,
is search going to be as relevant as it once was? Probably
right.
not.
Right. I mean, they can probably like if you combine the searches on TikTok and like now ChatGPT and these LLMs. So like uh, Instagram search, does that count as search as well? So like if you count all of the other searches that people are doing in other places, then they don't have a monopoly the way they used to like 10 years ago.
Right. Well,
But
it used to be Google was number one, and then YouTube was number two in search.
right, right, right. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that has changed quite a bit. So, um,
Yeah. And
yeah,
even with digital ads, like Google is a huge player, but then Facebook's number two or number one with running ads on mainly Instagram.
yeah. So yeah, I'm still very, well, I shouldn't say very, but I'm still bullish on Google. I think Meta in general, they're roughly trading at about the same PE, price earnings ratio. Uh, and if I had to sort of like bet on only one, I would probably still bet on Meta. I have a much bigger Meta position than I do Google. If Google had a Mark Zuckerberg like CEO, where I felt way more confidence in his or her ability to sort of execute, I'd be way more excited about Google
Right.
because they have 9 products with over 1 billion users, more than like by far more than any other company, and they're just so freaking strong. So
Yeah. And I think their products compared to Meta are just better in general. Um, like,
mm, user experience wise, I'm not sure that would be true.
I don't know, I'm not like, and I'm an investor in both. I don't love Instagram or Facebook,
Well, user interface, yeah. I mean, like, but if you were a user of those products, the UI UX is not bad.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, I'm saying the actual like products and the idea. Like I think
gotcha.
like what Google has, all the products they've worked on are more meaningful
Oh, one, yeah,
than
I agree with that.
than
I
what
agree with that.
Facebook is. Yeah. And that can change, right? Like Facebook, I think knows this, and they're trying to pivot into AI and into VR.
Right,
So we'll see. And then I think Google, not that they need to pivot, but they're going to struggle with like what do they do next?
right, right. And they have all the technologies. They have like the best AI stuff, but they just need a better sort of cohesiveness along the different products and combining them. But you're absolutely right that they have way more meaningful products and products that you can't live without. Your email, your search, your like
Google
your photos, your huh,
Google
maps, or
Docs, Google
Google
Drive.
Docs.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Maps. Yeah,
It's just so
everything.
many incredible products. Chrome, obviously, like your gateway to the rest of the internet. So yeah, absolutely. Android. So you
Yeah,
can't live without these products, whereas you could live without Instagram or Facebook or whatever.
right. Yeah,
Maybe
I
not
think.
WhatsApp as much.
Yeah, I think originally when Facebook came out and Instagram came out, they were higher quality products in the sense of like it wasn't like all ads, it wasn't all like random posts that you don't follow.
Right, right.
But
It was your
now it's just
friends.
yeah, it's like genuinely like you were seeing what your friends were doing. It's not the same anymore. backwards. It's very
No,
different.
now they're gaming you to stay on there and
Yeah,
entertaining you. Like, so now it's
yeah,
more entertainment. It's like the way they look at it is that we're competing with Netflix for your attention.
right,
Um, so like maybe they're better than Netflix, like, but they're not better than Google in terms of what's necessary.
right. And I think the purest form of that is TikTok, right? Like that is an
Right,
entertainment engine.
right, right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, interesting. Okay, what else? What other topics do we have?
Let's talk about Rocket Lab, another one of your holdings.
Oh,
So
yes,
there was a big
this
update
week.
with them, right?
Yeah, so this week they uh, finished they had a uh, the launch facility for the Neutron rocket, which is a major milestone, and it's necessary in order for them to launch their sort of next generation rocket. Was shown to be completed in Virginia. They had a whole event about it. So baby steps, they're moving in the right direction. And today the stock went down like something like 11% on basically no news. So let's see, Rocket Lab. Uh, hold on, I gotta remember the ticker. It's RKLB. Okay, so they went down 11.5% on basically no news. There was nothing sort of triggering this slow decline, but it was going down all day long. Um, but it's been, the stock has been doing well. Obviously, year to date is up pretty substantially, 70%, even after today's decline. In the past year, it's up 600%. So, the stock has done really, really well. But that major milestone was a pretty big one. That was kind of cool. Have you been following them at all, or?
So I own the stock. I follow them from a distance, but
Yeah.
don't follow them like a crazy amount in
Okay.
particular. I think they make up like 9 or 8% of my portfolio right now.
Oh, that's pretty substantial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
not as
All right.
substantial as Bitcoin. Just solely focused on Bitcoin.
It's funny when you're invested in crypto. The only thing, like, you can't hope for crypto to do anything. Like when you're invested in Meta or Rocket Lab or Google or Tesla or whatever, you can hope that the company does something impressive or amazing.
Right.
There is no company or there's no entity behind
Yeah.
crypto. So the only
The
thing you can
close.
hope for is that I hope more people believe in it tomorrow. Or
Right. You hope for how the world interacts with it.
yes,
You know,
yeah,
which even then, like there's pros and cons, like with the ETFs and stuff. Like it's great because it makes adoption easier, but then it also gets like it makes the whole game a bit more murky with having
right,
institutions in there, and partially defeats the purpose of what Bitcoin's supposed to be.
yeah,
Just quickly speaking on Bitcoin, we did have a user, or a user, a listener, it's my product manager hat on, comment that I got a stat wrong about Bitcoin. I want to clarify. I was saying Bitcoin always goes down in September in the
okay,
post-halving year, not that it goes down the entire year. I'm just saying in September it
in
tends to go down,
September's, gotcha.
because I think they misunderstood what I was saying.
Okay.
Yes, the listener is correct. In year 2 of the post-halving year, Bitcoin historically does go down as well.
This sounds
But that's
like
not what I was referring to.
like the correlation of a Super Bowl winner with like Groundhog Day type of.
Well, yeah, I mean,
All right.
I'm not trading on that.
I Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay, let's talk about Bumble. Bumble has a new ad campaign.
Yeah, so Bumble has been quietly rolling out their new ad campaign that is for the love of love. Um, and yeah, it's an interesting name, but like they actually have a commercial that sort of focuses on people getting married and like finding their love on Bumble, featuring real couples. So I thought it was kind of uh, a nice, heartwarming campaign that they have launched, and it's a direct result of Whitney Hurd being back and focusing on the company and fixing products and trying to address the sort of whole dating app issue of like getting overwhelmed and whether or not people can find love. So she's trying to sort of reconnect the fact that you can find love on Bumble. And they have a new ad campaign that they've launched. They're improving the product. They're doing all the right things. So excited there. It's just a small update, but yeah, I
I
continue
like the
to be very.
slogan. I think they need to to get people back on Bumble, because Bumble is no longer the number one competitor, I believe. I think it's Hinge.
Yeah,
You would know
I
better
think
than
it's
me.
like Hinge, Bumble, then Tinder, or Tinder and Bumble might be
Yeah.
swapped there. But
Yeah, they kind of need a hit on all cylinders of like great marketing, great product,
yes,
etc. Right. So like it makes sense that they're doing this. The only question I would have is like, do they feel like the product is in the optimal place, or are they planning more
no.
changes?
I think that the product changes since she's been back are not yet completely rolled out. So I think
Mm,
they're planning. I think I saw something that they're planning on a September 15th major launch of product update.
okay.
So that will be interesting to see if that does anything. Of course, with a major product change, it could go either direction. Like you could have a major hit on your revenue in negative or
Yeah.
positive in the short term as they sort of like figure it out and iterate through it. But the fact that they're sort of tackling it all and she's focused on sort of solving these problems is what gives me confidence and hope in the company. In the same way I had like confidence in Mark Zuckerberg in 2022 that he's going to figure out like the slowdown and overhiring issues that Meta had gone through during that time frame. And he, sure enough, he ended up laying off 20% of the staff, maybe a little bit more, optimizing various different things, sort of focusing on smaller teams, executing faster, bringing the company back to in person as opposed to remote. So like all these like little improvements that then you saw the results for in 2023, 24, 25, right? So I think that a similar type of thing could happen here, where the founder's back, she's focused on the right things, seems to be taking the right steps to cut costs, improve the sort of branding, and um, going down to the foundation as to what is Bumble for. It's for finding love, and like the messaging is now connecting in that sense.
Right.
So
And as the founder, she has the best sense of, I think, where to take the
yeah,
product in the
yeah,
company.
I think
Right.
so. I think so. And in their sort of new ad, I love that it's her voice at the end that says "for the love of love," and so like there's a little, like a little Easter egg that like she's behind this whole thing, right? The turnaround. It's either what fail or win or fail. She's the one behind it, right? She's going to be the
Yeah.
one taking credit, or uh, if it fails, I assume she's going to take responsibility for it as well. So it's good to see.
So last week we talked about how many stocks you should hold in a portfolio and like what's the right amount to diversify. And we touched on index funds in that conversation where like the S&P 500, you're holding 500 stocks and maybe that's too much diversification. So I had a follow-up question of who do you think should invest in the S&P 500, or when do you think it's right to invest in the S&P 500?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like I'm probably the last person to ask a question like that, and like I don't know what what the uh, what the right answer is there, but like the way I look at it is that I am uninterested in the overall index, just like indexing the stock market gains and going up and down with the market. I'm much more interested in betting on specific companies. But if you had zero interest, so if I had zero interest in betting on specific companies, like I have never owned an index, and outside of like 401k or
Right, where you
plans that
basically
I
have
didn't
to.
have control. Yeah,
Yeah.
but whenever I've been investing, I've not owned any index funds. Um, but let's say I wasn't sort of paying attention to companies and such, and then I just wanted to, like, looking at it historically, I'm like, okay, well, the stock market historically has done significantly better than leaving your money in the bank, right? So right now you can get 4% in the bank, or the S&P's average has been, I think, greater than 8%, 9% over decades. So it would be smarter to put it in the index than to leave it in the bank. Now, I wouldn't do that with all of my money. I would, still keep a significant portion of it in cash, because, the index can also go down pretty substantially in any given year. So I wouldn't want to be affected, like, for the amount of money that I expected to access over the course of the next year or whatever. So in that scenario, I would think that, investing in indexes makes sense. Have you been investing in indexes at all, or?
I have in the past, outside of 401ks, like when I was saving money to buy a house, I was putting it in index funds,
Okay.
just to reduce risk. And even though that's still very risky and
Yeah.
arguably I shouldn't have been doing that, but it went from like knowing I was a few years out from buying a house, I had it in the
Gotcha.
S&P 500. And then once we were getting closer, I moved that to cash, and there were high interest rates at the time. So
Gotcha.
like I didn't feel comfortable investing in individual companies, because if something were to really happen to that money, then it would delay,
The house
big life
purchase.
decision. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you
That
think
makes sense.
of people, like you phrased, like, you rather bet on individual companies. What do you think of the mindset of putting your money in the S&P is betting on America?
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Like, for the most part, I would agree with that. I mean, it's the problem is that, like, the it's betting on American companies in the long term, right? On any given year, you could have substantial decreases, even
Yes.
when you're betting on the index. So, if you have a decrease in a year, I wouldn't say America has lost by any stretch of the imagination, but in that particular year, the S&P might go down.
Yeah.
Long term, it does seem like it would continue to do well. Um, but you never know when major macroeconomic shifts can happen, and you might have multiple years of the S&P not doing well. That's
Yeah.
always a possibility.
Yeah. The way I have viewed indexes more recently is they have limited downside and limited upside. And investing in an individual company has limited downside in regards to, like, you could only lose 0%, but still, 0%, or only lose 0%. It could
100%.
only go to
Yeah.
0%. So you
Yeah,
could only lose 100%.
that's right.
This is what happens when we record at the end of the day. Uh, but investing in an individual company truly has immense upside. Now you
Yeah,
need to have, enough confidence
that the company
to,
is going to do well.
to
Yeah.
put your money to, behind a company. But if you take the time, like, I have friends who love finance, and I don't know, this is probably like a newer phenomenon, but I find a lot of people who younger people who love finance start their journey in credit cards, because it's the first kind of
Oh,
financial
interesting.
decision they need to make, is like, oh, I want to optimize my credit card points. And it's basically level one. And I think what's going to happen is those people are going to eventually pivot or realize, like, oh, that's just level one, and level two is spending the amount of time I do trying to optimize points to optimize investing, because
Oh, I see what you're saying.
you're gonna make way more money off investing in the right companies than
Right.
optimizing your points,
I
right?
do.
Because
I do feel like investing should be a freaking class
oh,
in
absolutely,
school. I'm like, in high school specifically. Just finance in general should be a class in high school. That's a, like, requirement, and understanding what a stock is, or these are, like, very simple concepts that definitely need to be taught in at the high school level, so that, like, people have a basic understanding of what are stocks? And like, if a stock is $10, what does that mean? Like, it means nothing. Like, you have to know how many shares are
Right.
outstanding, right? Like, people are like, oh, I would way rather own a $10 stock than a $100 stock, because when it goes up $1, it's 10% versus 1%, right? And it's like, well, yes, but it's the whole market cap that matters,
Yeah.
um, not the per share price. So there's a lot of like just foundational stuff that I think would be goodness for us to be teaching high school students.
I agree. I have a lot of conspiracies on this of like I think, the man, whoever that is, the man wants people to not know too much about finance and just
Okay.
blindly throw their money into the market, throw it into the S&P, because that's just going to
Mm,
kind of raise all ships. Where, if you know what you're doing, then you're the one who's truly,
the
making
man,
money.
you
Yeah.
become the man,
You become the man. Right.
and then you're like, but as like, let's say in that conspiracy, wouldn't the man want you to know which companies to invest in so that you could invest in those companies that he, the man, is, or she
Well,
is
that's fraud
invested in?
at that point.
No.
But you could you but like you could, I like
Let-
it's
let-
easier to push the entire country to be like, okay, just invest in the S&P, don't think about it.
and move the entire stock
And
market up.
yeah, and move the entire stock market up, as opposed to, oh yeah, invest in these individual companies.
Okay. No, that
Right.
makes sense. Should
Does
we go
it?
to some? I mean, your conspiracy is just as valid as any other conspiracy I've heard. So, um, should we
Great. So
move
it's
on to
not
some?
valid at all. Love to hear it. Okay, let's move on to listener questions. Adrian, do we have listener questions?
Do we still have Adrian with us? I know she was
I
having some
hope so.
internet problems. She might still be having
We
internet problems.
No, she's
Um,
not. We just can't hear her. Wait, let me. Okay, Adrian, I think your mic's on now, or maybe
okay.
not. She messaged us that she
She's
can't talk.
okay. Well, we can go through some of these. Let's see. Here, any
No,
plans to
she's
buy a
she's
Rivian to?
she's selecting them for us.
Okay. Okay. Any plans to buy a Rivian to get better feel for the company and product? Actually, what's funny is that I very strongly believe that in order to evaluate a company or product, I'd love to be a customer if I can be. And I would love to be a Rivian customer. And as a Tesla owner, though, full self-driving is a must-have for me now. So I've test-driven Rivian vehicles, and I think they're fantastic vehicles, better than most other vehicles as an EV enthusiast. But because they don't have full self-driving yet, I haven't made the switch. But if they introduce full self-driving, I'm very tempted to go with that R1S second gen, probably quad motor, just one of the fastest vehicles on the planet right now. So fastest SUV, I believe. So uh, I am considering a Rivian, but waiting for full self-driving. Let's
Okay,
see what
what's
else we got.
next?
If you had to invest in one company, what would it be, including all your current investment companies? Just pick one. That's always difficult. I just wouldn't put all of my money into one company. But the company I've been adding to most recently are like Rivian, Bumble, um, Meta. I think Meta. I think somebody asked like if everything halved, or maybe it was you last week. If everything Oh no, it was I was on another podcast where the host asked me if your holdings all halved, like they went down 50% tomorrow, which one would you add more of? And I thought that was a very good way to
Mm,
um, place the question. And in that scenario, I would probably buy more of Meta because I think that's the like safest one from a it's extremely profitable. It has a low price earnings ratio, um, and I think it has the highest probability of like coming back relatively quickly. And then the riskier ones would be that I would uh, buy more of Rivian and Bumble. as the two others. Now, Rocket Lab and Robinhood, I already have so much of that. Even if they have right now, if everything was having, that would mean some kind of macroeconomic issue that is causing it to all have. I probably would not bet on those ones right away. But if they were the only ones that have, I might bet on those. So
The way I think of that question is very simplistic, which is what company do I own the most of currently in my portfolio? So right, like after crypto, it's
okay,
Robinhood at 9.14%.
okay, so you
And
would buy more of that.
my one company I would own would be Robinhood. And I think that's
Okay,
actually a good check for like if my portfolio strategy is correct. Like, do I feel comfortable in that answer? And the answer is yes. Like, if I had to
okay,
pick one, if that was like, the rule,
yeah,
I would be all in on Robinhood. And I think they're a company that will be around in 10 years, but I do think it's a riskier company than Meta, for example. But in this current stage of my life, I'm comfortable with that, being that,
yeah,
I did buy my house. Like
yeah. You don't need
this,
that money right away,
right. This is all money that I don't need tomorrow.
right?
And that has been very empowering for me personally.
Yeah, no,
You know,
that's huge.
yeah. Okay. What's next?
Very cool. Um, let's see, what is this? Can you explain your strategy as far as deciding when and how to sell AEO? I got in right when you did. Okay, but with 10,000 shares at 12.30. Well, congrats. Hopefully that has had a good return so far.
Might be
So
$10,000 instead of 10,000 shares.
yeah, maybe dollars. So I can't tell you based on like its price movement whether I would want to exit or stay in it, just based on the after hours price movement. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to the earnings call, and I'm going to be like paying attention to what the CEO is saying. Do I have more confidence in the company for the future? So sort of like them making really good decisions or not, or do I have less confidence? And honestly, there's a lot of companies, in my portfolio, I already have like 7 or 8 companies, and they're all competing with each other for my uh, money, essentially my attention, my where I think the confidence lies. So I wouldn't hesitate that if like I think I have more confidence in one founder versus another to move the money to a different company, or just to move it in cash and just leave it there for a while. So I'm going to listen to the call, make a decision after the fact, and you'll know it because if you're following my portfolio, you'll get a notification if I sell.
And both of our portfolios are in the description below.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
I think
Anything
this
else?
was a great, no, I think this was a great fifth episode. Not fourth,
Yeah.
not third, fifth episode. Sometimes we forget the numbers.
Yeah. Very cool.
Can you
And
hear that? Can you hear that,
yeah.
Hamid?
Oh boy.
It's people rating the podcast 5 stars.
5 stars.
Don't forget to
Not
like,
4.
subscribe, tell your
The-
parents, tell your friends. I don't know.
All
That's
right.
all I got.
I think that's good enough. Well, thank you very much. Thanks everyone for listening and
Thanks, guys.
helping us get bigger heads. So appreciate it. All right.